to express it the way in which he did it, all right? All right, it's a real interesting way, and thank goodness there was enough coffee to get into it.
Well, we'll be back here and find out.
All right.
20 years, we'll come back and find out. Yeah.
Pardon? I don't want to forget what I was. I'm trying to recall exactly what it was said.
Seducing the divine.
Pardon me?
Seducing the divine.
Yes, that's right. It was put. No, this was his concern. See? Did I do right? Am I doing right by not seducing the divine in the same way as I had previously?
Seducing the divine?
Pardon me?
The question is, was he...
I'm not responsible for the quote. This is his. We can make fun of him later and do all kinds of jokes with him.
Did he seduce the divine in the beginning of the dream?
Right. First, do you see how this statement can come out of the dream?
Yes. Yeah.
In the other dream, remember, the young man is going to walk off and think about it, concern himself, reflect on it quite closely, isn't he? He's going to examine it. Well, I wanted to show you this one because this is a 20-year examination.
Hope he doesn't suffer from the same self-doubt when the tennis ball is glancing across the net.
That's the other way.
Did I seduce him?
I mean, just do it.
Yes, please. More?
Just do it.
Yeah.
Well, but you see...
Do right by not. Do you do right by not? No, do you do right by doing?
Did I do right? Am I doing right?
The question
by
just
not?
seems absurd to me.
Oh, yeah.
Well, thank goodness we can say that about someone else. That's what I do. No.
But I don't want to make fun of him. No,
That's all right. That's all right.
all this hemming and hawing
Loud, what's that?
all the hemming and hawing he's been going through for 20 years.
Well,
I'm trying to figure out.
And to think that he has the capability to seduce the divine.
if this logic fits, would you not agree his basics, if we can call it an ethic, is that he didn't want to do it the same way with his girlfriend? Remember? Isn't that the way?
That's honorable.
That he didn't want to seduce her by going through the same motions and the same things, as it were, do it the same thing twice. So he didn't want to seduce, see? He didn't want to seduce her the same way as he had. Agree?
Okay, yeah.
All right, isn't he applying that to this kind of experience?
Yeah.
Then he substituted.
Yeah.
Well, I have 2 more things to say about it. Right, so I got to keep them in my pocket for a few minutes.
Doesn't that also assume that he had seduced the divine before?
Well, did he? Did he or didn't he? Was he doing
The
it?
divine was seducing him.
He was reading the book and the divine came in and said, hey.
You know,
But if he would have just let the divine
what we needed, what I needed was your presence, because I can see you have the right question. Isn't perhaps the right question to ask this person? how do they know they seduced her? I mean, why couldn't it be some other way of talking that doesn't have all of this?
Probably an old maid waiting for this guy to make up his mind. He's the kind of person who gets up in the morning and wonders if he's going to pay the gas bill today.
Probably wonders whether he did or not.
Or whether the gas bill was seduced more than one.
Oh, bless his heart.
So, see, since you're quick at seeing that, it does represent his problem, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
And especially the point that you just made was exactly correct. It works on the assumption that he is the active agent in this, and the other thing is passive, whether it's divine or a woman, and it's all his trickery that somehow did it, or if he were to do it the same way, it would be trickery, and it leaves this kind of...
Perhaps his father has planted his seeds of doubt by saying, well, if you go and do what you want to do, then I won't have anyone to play with.
Yeah. Something like that.
So
Yeah.
this is perhaps infected his whole life.
Yeah, could really be. Okay. Remember I said 2 more things?
Yes.
All right. What I found real fun about this is the reason I got this was because the person involved, and I have this on all notes, it was fun to do, it was 20 years, 20 years, and 20 years. The original experience took place 20 years after I got this statement. There was a dream, all right? And then 20 years, remember we got the additional material?
Right.
And it's been 20 years since that original statement, which is why the person shared it with me.
60 years ago?
Well, 40 ultimately. So he had the dream. 20 years later, he made the additional statement. 20 years after he made the statement.
Oh, okay.
Right.
I never was
You call him up right away.
He needs some help. He's still persisting with it.
There's still time.
So what's his second statement then? Now that we got...
Now you want to know the second statement.
Yeah.
Gotta wait
Is
20
he
more
still
years.
working on it?
Now remember, what is it that the person would be doing if he were still involved in this? He would still hold back, would he not?
Yeah.
And not participate in it under these kinds of conditions. And so he said, as great as that was, I've gone beyond it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that interesting?
Not worried about seducing?
Yeah, it's a gone. And then I did, that's the next part of it. I said, well, did you ever then use this as a method in the 20 years, this period? See? And he said, yes. He then built that into his meditations. He's a Buddhist monk. Yeah. Yeah.
That was
And Bill would
Pardon me?
large change. So the girl is no longer waiting.
No, I don't think
not
that.
her anymore.
No, I mean, 40 years is a long time to wait for this cookie. That's quite true. So that's what I wanted to do this evening, talk to you about great dreams and the problems they bring up. So,
What did he build in his meditation again? He built that technique.
Yeah, what does that mean?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, because that's a little vague to me, of just serenity. And he used that as the technique to reach the divine, to seduce the divine.
well, it's good that you're mentioning that because